Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one, we are going to head over to Canada once again, and we're going to return to a brewery that's featured on the channel now a couple of times before. So I've had some really nice beers from these guys over the last little while. They're a brewery that I only discovered quite recently, and it seems that they are also relatively new to the local beer scene, but they've built up a very, very good reputation for themselves in that short time, and it seems that they are most definitely best known for their different kinds of New England hazy, whatever you want to call them, IPAs. Now, the beer that we're going to have a look at today is a style and a sub-style that I've tried from this brewery before. It's one that I know they can do very, very well, so needless to say, I'm very curious to see what this one's going to have in store for us. One of their latest releases here in Hong Kong as well. So yeah, hopefully it's another good beer. Hopefully it makes for an interesting review, and as always, I hope that you guys watching enjoy my take on this one as well. So yeah, for this review then, we are going to head over to Canada, like I said. We're going to go to the province of Quebec, so another Quebecois beer. We're going to the city of Montreal, and we're having a look then at another beer from the wonderful Messorem Bractorium. So this particular beer is called Triple Statim Finis. It comes in at 10.6% ABV. It's a New England Hazy, Imperial Triple, whatever you want to call it, IPA. And this one is one of their latest releases here in Hong Kong. So yeah, there was a couple of beers released from these guys this week. Most of them different kinds of pale ale and IPA and things like this. But this is the one out of those that kind of caught my eye actually. I like the hop bill in this one, and we'll talk a little bit about that later on in the video. But yeah, Triple Statim Finis, a 10.6% New England Hazy Imperial Triple IPA from Messorem Bractorium in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. So, as always with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery before we taste the beer. If you want to get straight to the tasting though, just fast forward. All the usual links can be found in the video description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from Messorem Bractorium before, and we will no doubt add more to that list at some point in the near future. But there's all the usual social media down there. If you want to see more reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The support that you give is massively appreciated. Remember, you can go into the channel homepage and search for beer using the geography tagging system. So just go in there, use the little search bar, put in your hometown, state, county, province, whatever you like. If I've reviewed beers from the area that you search for, they will pop up. Failing that though, you can check out the playlist of beers from different countries. You'll find this one in the Canadian playlist along with a number of other things. That is being added to fairly regularly since I've moved over here to Hong Kong, because we do get a decent supply of Canadian beer over here, which is great to see. But of course, you can check out my Canadian beer tubing colleagues as well, the likes of Lee Russell and Redbeard and these guys. They're always doing some really nice videos. But do make sure you check out the playlist of beers from other countries as well on my channel, because there are some really interesting beers in there these days. But yeah, let's go on to my brewery notes then, and I'll tell you a wee bit about Messorem Bracitorium once again. So, Messorem, as they're known in short, as I've told you already, are based in Montreal and Quebec over in Canada, and the three men behind this company are Marc-André Fillon, Sébastien Chaput and Vincent Menard. I do apologise for any bad French pronunciations there. But these guys apparently met in the underground music scene in the city during the early 2000s. So Sébastien is a guitarist, and he plays for the metal band Ion Dissonance, who've played all over the world, but he more recently studied business management and finance, and he takes care of the business side of the company. Vincent, on the other hand, was a drummer for another metal band called Last Felony, and he was an avid home brewer for years before he went to study brewing formally, and then he entered Oval Brewing and Pit Caribou before going to work for Les Trois Mousquetaires for 2 years. But he now takes care of the brewing side of the business. Marc-André, on the other hand, was the singer of Orphans and Coma and Here Comes the Hurricane, but more recently he's been rapping with La Carabine as well. But he studied design and marketing before working in the field professionally, and he's the man behind the branding and the artwork of Messorem. But back in 2015, they would meet every Friday in a group of friends to do beer tastings and try rare beers from across the world. But this got them wondering about how they could satisfy their desire for such beers without having to bring back only very small amounts of them. And this got them thinking about founding their own microbrewery. So Marc-André's father, Christian, was really impressed by the group's tenacity at getting the project off the ground, and he spoke to his friend Francois Garot, who helped them find the company's current home on Le Chine Canal on Pitt Street. But Christian had worked in the pharma industry while Francois had been a professor of mathematics and also worked in real estate on the side. But the two men, having been impressed by the project, decided that they were going to join the company, and they are now full partners in it. But the name is taken from Latin and translates into English as the Brewery of the Reaper, hence their artwork, which I'll show you in a little minute, hence their symbol, I should say, rather than the artwork. But the brewery opened its doors to the public in August of 2019. They've got a tap room on site with a terracing capacity for about 250 people, and they collaborate with Mitch Deli, who run the kitchen, and they serve all sorts of dishes. From what I've seen, the menu seems to change quite a lot when I've been researching the brewery. But over the years, the brewery have become really well known for their IPAs, particularly the New England Hazy IPAs, and they've also done quite a few sour beers from what I understand as well. So I'll need to have a look at one of their sour beers at some point in the future. But as I say, I know the IPAs are very good, so I tend to try those when they make themselves available to me. But as of August 2024, when I'm filming this review for you, these guys have produced 600 different kinds of beer according to Untappd, and that number will no doubt continue to increase as time goes on, because these guys have been pretty prolific over the last wee while, needless to say. But yeah, that is everything I can really tell you about Messorem Bractorium for the moment. If you want to learn more about these guys, you can check out the brewery website, you can follow them on Facebook and Instagram to keep up to date with all the latest goings on, and you can check out the Rate Beer, Untappd and Beer Advocate pages to learn a wee bit more about all the different beers that these guys have done. So yeah, let's go on and actually talk a little bit about the beer itself. So like I said earlier, this one I picked out of the various Messorem beers that were available because I liked the hop bill. I was quite curious about this one. But yeah, the artwork on this one, as you can see, is kind of pretty abstract and interesting. You can see on the side here, there is the Messorem Reaper, which I have to admit I do really like. I like how they always look a little bit happy. It's a bit like, actually, Dia de los Muertos, you know, the kind of Mexican holiday. Kind of reminds me of that a little bit. But plain silver top on the can there. This one, incidentally, is a 473 milliliter can, 1 American pint. And there you can see another one of the Messorem symbols at the bottom of the can there. But yeah, all in all, nicely presented once again. Like I said, 10.6% New England Hazy Imperial Triple, whatever you want to call it, IPA. The hops in this one are Citra and Mosaic, which are from America, and Galaxy and Ella, which are of course from Australia. And we should point out that this beer contains a little bit of lactose as well. But Citra and Mosaic are both 14% alpha acid. Citra is going to give you a lot of juicy mango, sometimes a little bit of grapefruit and a lemon limey character in a New England IPA. Mosaic, of course, is more leaning toward that tangerine orange side of thing. That's got a little bit of distinctive earthiness in its green component too. Galaxy is about, I think that's about maybe 16% alpha acid if I'm not mistaken. It gives you quite a lot of juicy mango, but also quite a lot of pineapple in my experience. And Ella is actually the kind of little sister of Galaxy, if I remember it. I think Galaxy's actually descended from Ella, if I'm not mistaken. But Ella's about 14% alpha acid, and it gives you quite a distinctive grapefruit from what I remember. But it can also give you a wee bit of pineapple and stuff like that as well. So yeah, good variety of hops in this one. Let's get this guy out into the glass and see what it's all about. I'm very curious because I always do enjoy my Messorem beers. Some of you might be saying, if you've watched my reviews of Messorem already, I always seem to review the double IPAs and the triple IPAs, never really the lighter stuff. The main reason for that is that the IPAs, pale ales, double IPAs and triple IPAs here in Hong Kong, because of the transportation costs and so on, they actually cost about the same. So for me, I just go for the kind of bang for your buck, to be honest. So that's why I tend to review double IPAs and triple IPAs rather than the singles and the pale ales and stuff like that these days. That's just how it goes with the imported beer, in all honesty. But yeah, anyway, you can see that this beer, I think we've got about 80% of it out and into the glass, but you can see this beer is poured really pretty nicely. So it's poured with just over half a finger of a kind of bumpy, soapy, I would say kind of cream coloured head there. I'll just bring that up to the camera and let you guys have a little look at that there. But you can see some medium-sized bubbles on the surface of the liquid, and they certainly do get a little bit more kind of soapy the further up the head that you go. But you can see the colour of this one is pretty pale actually. So this one's almost a bit more like a kind of pineapple juice in terms of its colour. I always like comparing New England IPAs to different fruit juices, because their appearance really does just remind me of that. But yeah, remember, the colour of your beer depends on a few things. One, the type of malts that you use. This goes a long way to determining your EBC rating. Two, length of your wort boil is also going to play a role, because the longer you boil the wort, the more the sugars caramelise, and thus you get a darker colour of beer. But any barrel aging that you do or adjuncts you put into the beer will affect its colour as well. But that can vary from, we don't really have to care about those last two variables often when it comes to New England IPAs, of course, or any type of IPA for that matter. I will say as well, though, this is one of the soupier and gloopier New England IPAs that I think I've come across in the last little while, and usually the level of haziness in these beers depends on the oak content, wheat content, and to a degree what yeast you use, and that of course can vary from brewery to brewery and beer to beer. We also need to take into account that this beer has a bit of lactose in it, which I think can probably affect the kind of soupy gloopiness of the beer. But yeah, not too much in the way of visible carbonation with this one. You can see if I put my hand behind the glass there, it is pretty damn opaque. So all in all, nothing really surprising about this beer in terms of its appearance with regard to when you think about what style it is. So yeah, I think we can move on and have a wee look at the aroma then. We don't need to say anything more about the appearance of the beer. So let's do this. Oh, that smells really, really nice. Once again, it's just one of these very big, soft, smooth, juicy New England IPAs, and that's what we've come to expect from Messorem over the last year or so that I've been reviewing their beers. So yeah, I do actually have another one of their beers in the fridge that was from the previous lot of Messorem that came into Hong Kong, and it's a collaboration, so yeah, I need to do the notes for the other brewery, so you'll see that video up here quite soon. But it'll be interesting to see how that beer holds up over time, because I think that'll be about 2 months old or something like that at the time we get round to it. But yeah, the aroma of this one is really, really nice. So, as I've often said on the channel, for me, when it comes to New England IPAs, I think there are 6 elements to think about with these. You've got the farmhousey, yeasty side of things, and then the kind of Riley and grainy character as well. Those 2 elements are a bit more common in American brewed New England IPAs, because the style really was a bit more farmhousey when it first started out. But you've got the wheaty bitiness, oaty creaminess, barley malt bread, and also the sweeter side of things. And those elements are far more prevalent, I would say, in yeah, that's kind of how the style evolved basically when it went to other places. So yeah, for me, this particular New England IPA, it has quite a little bit of wheat to it. I can certainly smell that little bit of wheaty bitiness in the back of the nose. There's a good little bit of oaty character in there as well. So I'd say more, it's leaning wheaty and oaty, but of course you do get the barley malt character coming out of this one underneath. But yeah, that's one of the things about Messorem. They do kind of vary their malt bases and things like that a little bit. So sometimes you'll get a more wheaty bitey one, but you'll get a bit more of an oaty one the next time. But yeah, I'm curious how this one's going to be with the lactose. And the lactose obviously will make the beer smell a little bit more kind of creamy and things. But still, I do get a good bright green component out of this one, and some lovely juicy fruity characters as well. So yeah, the way everything goes together in this beer, I think, is really, really nice. So let's break the aroma down then and describe it for you a wee bit more in depth. As always, you're getting that little bit of kind of fresh, white bready, hedgehoggy bread crust character in the backbone of the beer. There's a little touch of woodiness to it as well, which is nice. So yeah, little touch of woody character in there. On top of that, you do get a little tiny hint of cracker, not very much in this one. This one really leans more toward the bready and oaty side of things. But there's maybe a little hint of like a kind of wholemeal brown bready character in there. So yeah, a little bit of wholemeal brown bready character, a little bit of, as I say, you've got cracker, wholemeal brown bready character, but then it's a really big, fluffy, white bready note that's coming out of this one. So yeah, the way that all of that goes together in this beer, I think, is really, really nice. Big fluffy white bready notes. On top of that though, you have a nice big, on top of that you've got a really nice big dense wheaty white bready character there. As I said, in the back of the nose you really do start to get a little bit of that more wheaty bitey character out of this one, and that's an interesting point because, you know, as I've explained on the channel many a time, for me European oats, for example, are a little bit more kind of creamy. American oats are a little bit, North American oats are a little bit more kind of porridgey, if you like. And then American wheat is a little bit kind of smoother, I would say, and European oats are a little, European wheat. Brain is not working today. North American wheat is a little bit more, European wheat's a bit more bitey, North American wheat's a little bit more smooth is what I'm trying to say. So difficult to get it out, but yeah, that's the thing that's surprising me about this one, is that it probably will use North American wheat, but it smells a little bit more bitey, so that's kind of interesting. Some of that could be down to the yeast as well, but yeah, quite a little bit of oaty character coming out of this one. As I've often said, oaty character in a New England IPA can quite often give you a rough idea of how fresh your beer is. The creamier the oats smell, the fresher the beer is, the drier they are, the older it is. So yeah, this beer does have a slight sweetness to it, but you can smell the oats come across as really, really creamy in this one, and probably that's the influence of the lactose. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. Lactose is obviously going to just give your beer that big, thick, lovely, creamy mouthfeel. But yeah, on top of that, you get that nice oaty creaminess. There's a little bit of like Werther's Original butter candy, butterscotch coming out of this one, which you would expect when it's 10.6% ABV, you know. So you have got a wee bit in that in there, and maybe just a little hint of like biscuit or something. But at the back of the nose, you do have a little touch of kind of yeasty character as well. And for me, it's quite, there's quite a little bit of breadiness in there, like a sort of white bready, crackery sort of note from the yeast. But yeah, I think we said everything we need about the malty side of the beer. There's nothing particularly surprising in there, but it is pretty damn nice, and it's a very soft smelling New England IPA other than the wheaty bitiness. But yeah, on the hoppy side of things then, so remember there are 3 types of hoppings you can do with an IPA. You can do early addition hopping, which is going to give you the vast majority of your bitterness. That takes place within the first hour of the wort boil, and it gives you quite a deep, dank green component in terms of flavour and aroma. You've got late addition hopping, which takes place in the last half hour of the wort boil, normally assuming a 90-minute wort boil, which is common for this style. But yeah, it's going to give you a very bright green component, a little bit of bitterness, but mainly flavour and aroma, like I said. Then you've got dry hopping, which takes place after the wort boil is complete, and that's all about flavour and aroma. It gives you a very bright green component, no bitterness, of course. So yeah, New England IPAs tend to use late addition and dry hopping, whereas West Coast IPAs will use all 3, which is why they're deeper, danker, and more bitter. But the green component in this one actually does have a little bit of dankness to it, but you can tell it's very, very fresh, because, you know, sometimes when you have the pellets and things like that, they will take over the, you know, you can just smell the greenness out of the beer, if you like. So yeah, the way the aroma goes together in this one is really, really nice. You've got that with the green component, it does overwhelmingly lean toward that floral aromatic side of things, but there's a little earthiness in there. There's a little earthiness in there. There's a little bit of woodiness, of course, some nice floral aromaticity. And you do have that little bit of grassy, zesty character as well. So yeah, the way that all of that goes together is really quite nice, but it is quite a pungent green component that this one has. So maybe there has been a wee bit of early addition hop in here to kind of balance out the sweetness and things. We'll need to see. Maybe it will be a bit more bitter. But on the fruity side of things, if you know these hops, it's kind of what you'd expect. I do get quite a bit of grapefruit out of this one. I mean, Ella's going to contribute to that, Citra's going to contribute to that, Galaxy can as well sometimes, but there is a wee bit, I think there's a little bit of peachy sharpness in there, but lots of like really ripe, juicy mango coming out of it. Apricots, pineapples, apricots, pineapples. And then, you know, I can smell when if you sugar it up, you get all the pungent tropical notes and the grapefruit and things like that. But just as it kind of starts to settle down, you do start to get that tangerine orange from the mosaic and a little bit of the lemon limey character coming out of it. So that's pretty interesting, I have to say that about it. The way the aroma kind of pieces together in this one does make you think a little bit. But yeah, in all, the aroma of this is very, very nice. Nothing unusual compared with the style or when you consider what hops that are in it. But yeah, it's still pretty damn nice. I always say take a bit of time and enjoy the aroma of these beers before you get stuck into them. But yeah, let's have a taste of this one then and see how we go. This one is the triple Statim Finis, 10.6% New England Hazy Imperial Triple IPA, Citra Mosaic Galaxy Ella from Messorem Bractorium in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Slàinte, skål, cheers, santé. Yeah. I'm going to say straight away, as I would expect from Messorem, that's a bloody good beer. It is nice. You can feel with this one, it is that little bit more, it is just that little touch more boozy. I think it actually just got a little bit more opaque as we put the last of the can into it there, so that's kind of interesting. But yeah, the way that all of that pieces together, I think, the way that this one goes together is really nice. I will say it gets a little bit more bitter into the aftertaste. It does have that little bit of wheaty bitiness in there, and you do get those kind of stronger, more pungent grapefruity notes out of it. That's just on the first impression, but yeah, the way that pieces together is really nice. Yeah, that is pretty good. Yeah. I'm going to enjoy this one, I can tell you that right now. Yeah, give this a go if you get the chance. It's, I think, compared to the other ones that I've had from Messorem, this one definitely comes across as being a little bit more bitter, a little bit more wheaty and bitey, and I'm a bit surprised about that considering it's got the lactose in there. But yeah, this one definitely has a bit more bitterness and a bit more kind of bite to it, which is good. But yeah, let's go to the middle third of your palate in this one and just see, and just go through the flavour and describe it more in depth as we always do. So yeah, middle third of your palate, and the backbone of the beer there is that, the backbone of that beer is the fluffy, fresh, white bready bread crust in there. So yeah, you can feel that coming out of the beer. So yeah, the further forward on that middle third of the palate, you do of course get the little touch of woody character in there, which you expect from the style. Then above that you get a wee bit of the kind of Jacob's cream cracker, which I think is really, really nice. So yeah, on top of that, on top of the Jacob's cream cracker, there is some yeah, on top of the cream cracker, you start to get the bready notes coming out of the beer. So you've got this little bit of like wholemeal. You do have this little bit of a more kind of wholemeal, brown bready type character coming out of this one, which I think is really, really nice. So you can feel that little bit of sweeter bread there sitting above the cracker, but then above that you've got the more fluffy white bready character in there. But it does actually have quite a little bit of density to it, this one, and it's almost just a little touch sweeter as well. So yeah. So yeah, the white, the sort of white bready character in this one does get slightly sweeter the further into the aftertaste that you go, in honesty. So you can get a wee bit more sweetness out of this one the further along you go. But on top of the white bready character from the barley malt, you can feel that more dense white bready character in there, and obviously that's the wheat. So further back on the palate, it does, the wheat gives you a little bit more bitiness, but as you move further forward, it's just that little bit smoother. So yeah, you can feel how that kind of all pieces together. But yeah, the wheatiness that comes out of this beer is quite nice. Just remember that sweeter flavours come out further forward on the palate, more dry and bitter flavours come out further back. But on top of the wheat, you can feel a little bit of oatiness in there. And the more that I drink of this beer, I think the lactose is maybe giving the oats a little bit more of a drier quality, but you can certainly feel, again, the oats in this beer are not as creamy as it would be if it was European oats, of course. But yeah, down the middle line of your tongue, you do get a little bit of that kind of creaminess there, and you can feel the oats just get a little bit drier as you kind of spread out toward the edges of your palate there. I will say too that this New England, this particular beer is not the sweetest of New Englands that I've had before. You do, in the dead centre of your palate, you get a little bit of that circle of the kind of Werther's original butter candy, butterscotchy sort of flavour, and there's a wee touch of like biscuit in there. Maybe a little bit of Golden Promise malt in this one, although I'm not sure how common that is in North America right enough. But yeah, you do get a little bit of the sweetness from the boozy side of the beer. That is kind of evident in this one. But yeah, the way that that goes together, I think, is really, really nice. Yeah, it's a big thumbs up from me, this one. It is pretty damn good. So, malty side of this one gives me everything I would want. But yeah, let's leave it at that for the middle third of your palate. We'll go to the back third of your palate then. So as I've often said, the back third of your palate is going to give you very similar flavours to the middle third of your palate, just at different intensities. But yeah, the border region between middle and back third of your palate, you get that nice little bit of bready build up in there. You can feel the brown bread in the base, the white bread on top of that, and then a wee bit of the kind of wheaty, bitey white bread on top. But then yeah, the base of that back third of your palate, you've got the white bready bread crust, which was a little bit drier. Of course, you've got the crackery character above that, which feels a little bit more kind of grainy and dry. Then you've got the brown bready character in there, which feels a little bit lighter and more airy. It feels a little bit lighter and more airy. And then above that, you've got the more whole, the kind of white bready character, which again feels a little bit lighter and more airy. Both of those layers a little bit drier on that back third of the palate. And then over the top of that, you can feel, the wheaty bitiness just creeping over the top there, which again is quite nice. So yeah, the wheaty bitiness that comes out of this beer I do quite like, I have to admit. But yeah, on top of all of that, you start to get the yeasty side of the beer. And I will say that the wheaty bitiness on that back third of your palate is a little bit more pungent, of course. But yeah, in the yeasty side of the beer, you can feel there's certainly that little bit of density in there. So you can feel that sweet brown bready density in the middle of your yeasty character. It's a little bit sweet around the edge. You've got the white bready character, then the bread crusty note as well, I think, is really, really nice too. But yeah, the way that yeasty character goes together is really quite nice, and it gets a big thumbs up from me. The yeasty character just, I think, lingers there more into the aftertaste, and it gives a wee bit more kind of depth to the beer. So yeah, you can feel that little bit of yeasty dryness just coming out of the flavour a little bit more into the aftertaste as well. But definitely, yeah, back third of your palate, you can feel the flavour is taller, and as you move further forward into the middle third of your palate, it just condenses down and squashes together that little bit more. I think my hypothesis that this beer was going to be a little bit more kind of bitter in comparison to some of the other New Englands, and more bitter and wheaty than some of the other New Englands we've had from Messorem before, holds true, in all honesty. That is very much the case here. But let's go on to the green component of this beer then. The back corners of the palate, you've got that nice little bit of earthiness in there. As you move further forward, it's a little touch herbal, and as you push further forward from that, you do get there's maybe a wee tiny bit of pine resin underneath. But yeah, as you reach the kind of front corners of your palate, it's definitely a little bit more kind of floral and aromatic, and maybe just a little touch spicy there. But round the front curve of the tongue, the beer's a little bit lighter and more grassy, and a little touch more oily as well. So yeah, the way that this one goes together, I think, is really nice in that regard. So it's a big thumbs up from me. Yeah, but definitely a bit more bitter. We'll come to that in the mouthfeel. But yeah, let's round off the flavour section of the video with the front third of your palate. So yeah, border region between front third and middle third of your palate. You get that nice little bit of bready build up there again. Brown bread in the base, the white bread on top, and then the more wheaty, bitey character. The base of the front third of your palate is, of course, the kind of white bready bread crust in there. You've got a little bit of the Jacob's cream cracker, the brown bread, the white bread, the wheaty white bread, and then a little bit of the oat, of course. Then you get that nice oily bubble where the juicy fruity esters roll the way out of the beer. So let's have a wee look at that. So yeah, for me, the fruity side of the beer again is kind of what you'd expect if you know the hops. At the back of that front third of your palate, grapefruit, quite a strong grapefruit actually. So as I say, I think Ella's going to be the main contributor to that, but Galaxy and Citra will play a role there too. But as you move further forward from that, you definitely get that little bit of peachy character coming out of the beer. As you move a little bit more further forward, you get the lovely big kind of juicy ripe mangoes there, apricot as you reach the middle of that front third of your palate, and then it's got a bit of pineapple on top. But yeah, the front half of the front third of your palate is all about the kind of tangerine orange from the mosaic. So yeah, the Galaxy and the Citra are the ones that are going to give you the apricots and the pineapples and the mangoes and stuff like that. Ella might contribute a little bit to the pineapple, right enough, but yeah, the tangerine orange is all about the that's all from the mosaic. You do get a little touch of a lemon limey character just behind the very front tip of your tongue when you've got the grassy esters going on. But yeah, the way that all of that goes together in this one, I think, is really, really quite nice. So yeah, this one for me, as I say, as I've repeated once or twice, it's more wheaty and bitter, leaning New England Triple IPA, this one. But again, it's very, very well done. It's nice to see that they vary up a little bit with their beers. I have to say that, because the last Triple IPA I had from them was really oaty and creamy and very, very smooth, whereas this one's just got a bit more kind of punch to it, which is good. So yeah, let's round off this review then with a wee look at the mouthfeel. So for me, definitely, I would say, yeah, bottom end of full-bodied for me, this beer. Carbonation is very, very smooth. It does have an element of creaminess to it in this mouthfeel because of the lactose, but yeah, I think that the fact that it's a bit more bitter and things maybe takes away from that a little bit. I don't think the other one we had, which did actually feel a little bit more creamy, I don't think that had lactose in it, come to think of it. So it's interesting that we choose to put a bit of lactose in an obviously more bitter and wheaty bitey New England Triple IPA. So yeah, but like I say, I think the IBU on this one's a bit more. I think this has got to be about maybe 60-ish, 50 or 60 IBUs, something like that, because you do have that lingering bitterness in there, and that of course balances out the sweetness of the malt base. Makes sense. The malt base, as we said, it's got a bit of dryness underneath, smoothness in the middle, and a wee bit of a creaminess and sweetness on top. Your fruity character in this one's got quite a little bit of that grapefruity pungency to it, soft tropical notes in there, and a wee bit of a lemony kind of citrusy character coming out of it as well. But all in all, a really, really nice tasting New England IPA, this one, and I certainly wouldn't hesitate to try it again. There is Statim Finis, which is an 8.5-ish or 8.6, 7, something like that, New England double IPA as well. So this is a triple version of one of the other IPAs that they do, and they seem to do that. They seem to do like extreme edition, triple edition, and boost edition, and all that kind of sort of stuff. So yeah, maybe I need to try the original one of this and see what it's like as well. But certainly a more wheaty and bitter New England IPA, this one, but certainly very, very enjoyable. So yeah, I think we can leave it at that for this one. This was the Triple Statim Finis, 10.6% ABV, New England Hazy Imperial Triple, whatever you want to call it, IPA from Messorem Bractorium in Montreal, Quebec, over in Canada. So once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Messorem Bractorium as well, and we will no doubt return to these guys again at some point in the very near future. But until the next time, slàinte, skål, cheers, check out my social media, check out their social media, and I'll see you guys in another review very, very shortly. Slàinte, skål, cheers, ciao just now.